ruckus in the she ruckus. Dead beat, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You ain't a killer, boy, stop. I hear you yelling stacks on deck, boys.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Big Llama Show. I'm the Big Llama, with you every Sunday night, 10 p.m. This is your place for Loki discussions and all things nerd and comic book and movies and everything. And with me as always, we got AD from Colorado.
What's going on?
This is a regular thing, man. It's not special guest anymore. It's just a regular thing. It's me, the Llama and AD, breaking it down on a Sunday night, every night. Just coming at you live, man. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube and Twitch. So whatever platform you're streaming on, we're live. Make sure you subscribe. So before we get to everything here, let's talk about a couple of things. Make sure that if you like this show and you like some of the content I'm putting out there, make sure you subscribe. And what I mean by subscribe is go to the YouTube page. Go to the YouTube page, look up the Big Llama Show, and hit that subscribe button. That helps me gain followers. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm, and it makes my videos appear more frequently when I post them. And obviously, these live videos you'll be notified when we go live. If you enjoy the content a lot and want to know when I drop new videos, if you're supporting me in that way, make sure you hit that bell notification. That's going to tell you exactly when we drop videos and when we go live or when we have anything going on. That helps the channel a lot as well. So want to make sure that you guys do that if you're supporting me. I know we have about 2 subscribers on right now. If you're on, make sure that you're interacting with us. If you hit us up with a comment, we'll post it here on the show live, and we'll interact with you and answer any and all questions that you guys have. We'll make sure that again we shout you guys out. One thing I want to say before AD and I get started is I want to shout out to just my channel. Started this thing in January. Here we are in July, and I honestly didn't think more than my immediate family and a couple of friends would watch this, and it's grown. So at current count, I'm at 92 subscribers. Again, I've said this on a couple of tweets. It's not that much compared to some of the big YouTube standards. But it means a whole lot to me, and it means a lot to know that somebody out there is listening to my voice and somebody is enjoying the stuff that I'm putting out there. So I just want to thank everybody who subscribed. If any of you subscribers are out there, you know that when you post things on my videos, I react or respond right away. So it's an interactive channel. Hopefully, no matter how big the channel gets, we'll continue to be interactive because we want to make sure that we thank you guys, the viewers. So. All right, so that's my spiel for right now, getting everybody started. So, AD, how's everything going, man?
Good. Another week, another Loki episode. I mean, we're getting closer to the end. Kind of sad about it, but also excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, man, that's it's a bittersweet thing, right? Because it's something you get together with. At least I do. I get together with the family Wednesday nights. We all sit down and we break down the Loki episode and we watch it and we enjoy it. And this next Wednesday coming up is it. That's it. That's all there is to it. Listen, we got our favorite subscriber John Gillen is back.
What up, John?
He says congrats, #road to 100. That's right. Let's see if tonight we can get to that magical 100. We need 8 people that are watching this. 8 people as you come on. Hit that subscribe button. And John, thank you so much for tuning in. I know you enjoy the show. I enjoy that. I enjoy how much joy you get out of it, and the fact that you give me a lot of grief when I don't mention that you're shouting me out. So John Gillen, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Awesome. All right, man. Let's see. Let's get right to the Loki stuff, man, because there's a lot to break down. Episode 5. I got one word for it, which was just holy shit. I mean, that's 2 words. It's 2 words. See, like I can't even keep it straight, man. Wow. I mean, Owen Wilson. Wow.
I'm really surprised we haven't. That's one thing I'm really surprised about. We haven't gotten a wow. I mean, we got the how 2 episodes ago, but you got to think they're gonna throw it in there at least a little.
I mean, if they're as good with the fan service that they've been doing with the show, he's got to say wow. Maybe at the very end, he just like wow. It's just I don't know, man. One time, one time, hook it up. One time for us fans. No, I mean, I honestly, it's everything that we talked about, except that the reveal of the big bad wasn't there. That's the one thing we missed in our analysis was. I had said that my prediction was that it was going to be a reveal of whoever this person is, and then we would have closing credits. But unfortunately, they opened the door, and you still don't know who the big bad is, and that's okay with me. That's okay.
So, before we get into the episode, I did hear that this is the only one that got a second season. So now I'm kind of curious as to. Will they hold us off for a whole season? Or will they reveal this and the storylines and then the next season will be another thing? Or how that would be?
Ooh, I mean, that would be kind of cheap. You know?
Because this whole time I've been watching it thinking it was a limited series, not knowing there was going to be a second season. So now that we didn't see the villain in this episode, we got one more episode, which I don't think there's a lot of things they have to tie up. But there could be they could miss some things if they don't do it properly. So I'm curious to see now.
Well, it's I didn't know there was a second season, but no, it's going to be tough to stick the landing on this one because there are just so many open stories, right? There's Renslayer and her story, which Mobius is heading back there. There's Miss Minutes, and then there's the TVA being variants.
Yeah.
There's all these Loki variants, and now we're meeting the big bad. And how do they wrap everything up in an hour, right? Or 45 minutes, or however long the episode is. So no, I'm with you. I hope they don't leave people. It's got to be satisfying enough to shut it down, but enough to pique your interest for the next time it comes on. And we'll get to predictions on who the big bad is. And when I get to mine, I'll let you know what I think is going to happen at the end. So
I've honestly been waiting all week to hear what you think because we were talking about it. I was like, let's just wait. I want to know. Yeah.
That's
I'm still in the Kang train, so I was like, I'm curious to see.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, online, AD and I sort of exchanged text throughout the week. Hey, did you see the episode? Hey, what do you think? And then I hit him with, I don't think it's who you think it is. And we didn't talk about it. So we're saving the true reaction for the show. So anyway, so episode 5, it picks up right where we left off. We're looking at the Loki variants, right? And now we get a little bit more dialogue. We get to meet these guys and see what exactly is going on with them, right? So right away, we meet classic Loki, Kid Loki. I think it's Boastful Loki is the big guy.
Yeah, it makes sense once you hear him a little bit.
And probably my favorite Loki after the episode, Florida Loki is what I'm calling him. But I think it's Gator Loki or something like that. Or he's got an official name. I'm going to keep calling him Florida Loki, though.
I think his official name is Alligator Loki, huh?
I think so. I think it's that simple. It's nothing too too extravagant. But I try, me. I'm always testing the social media waters. Yeah. So I how they say restore the Snyderverse and all that stuff. I started tweeting a couple of times. Make Florida Loki trend, right? Make Florida Loki like official canon. And I got one retweet and a couple of likes, but then it died off. But I did look at the hashtag Florida Loki, and there was a bunch of people commenting about obviously the performance of this alligator, which is and this is the funny thing about this show is they take so remember when everyone was talking about Mobius's jet ski,
yeah,
like a completely ridiculous throwaway line. And people were like just in love with the idea of Mobius on a jet ski. And now, after watching this, I'm like, why did I care so much about Florida Loki? Why in the world was I so invested in the way that the crocodile blinks his eye and the way he was, Yeah, I don't know why. I was like in tune. I was like, oh god, what's this alligator going to do next?
I mean, they set the alligator up even with the blinking of the eye. I think one of the blinks looked like it was almost sort of like he was rolling his eyes because you know how they blink sideways.
Yeah.
So it looked like he was kind of rolling his eyes at Loki, which I thought was just hilarious. Like they did really well. He really was probably the better Loki. I mean, besides I think classic Loki and then alligator Loki had like the two most shining because Kid Loki kind of disappeared towards the end of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, Kid Loki was useful for a prop, right? Like he hands off a knife and he goes away. But I got vibes of and I heard a couple people say it, but I did get vibes of like Lord of the Rings type thing, like they're going on a quest together.
Yeah.
And the way that it was shot, it was from the outside, like a top view, like almost sweeping through. So when I saw it, I'm like, okay, they're on a quest, they're on a mission together. Very Lord of the Ring-ish, which was interesting. It was neat, and it's a good story there. But I think they went to. Then we go back to Sylvie, right? Sylvie and Renslayer. Yeah. So that was an interesting exchange. I mean,
Renslayer pretty much acts like she's gonna help Sylvie. She calls Miss Minutes up. They have like a short exchange where it's just basically you kind of get the feeling like she really doesn't know who's behind the TVA, to be honest.
Right.
Like throughout the whole episode, that's the vibe she's giving off. Like she's just as scared as all of them, but I think she's just so much on that side that she's not gonna flip. She just doesn't know everything, just like everybody, just like us. We don't know who's behind it. So like she gives off the vibes like she doesn't know, and it did seem very sincere that she wanted to help Sylvie and to find out who is behind the TVA.
Right. I was fooled for like a second, right? And I was like, okay, this maybe she doesn't know, but my family was like, nope, you can't trust her. No, don't trust her. And sure enough, she exposes herself to be still, going through the TVA's mission.
Yeah.
So, which again was interesting because why wouldn't she think that Sylvie would have pruned herself if she, giving her all this information, she has nothing to lose. And so she gave her enough information to get her out of there. And then I think she left with Sylvie's, Renslayer's temp pad, right. Which is interesting.
That's actually a good question because she did have the temp pad and clearly the temp pad works on that side. And Renslayer kind of has to know because as soon as we see the Lokis, they give us what that world, that realm is called, and it's called the Void. But Renslayer kind of gives us a little bit more of a explanation to what it does. It's just basically whoever gets pruned goes to that location or the Void, and there's a cloud. It's like a cloud monster. It's called Goliath, and that basically destroys all matter and just pretty much anything that gets in its way, it destroys, which really, I don't think she understands that either. Like, you know what I mean? I think she thinks, because as soon as she got pruned, she said, well, she's dead too. So I think she just thinks that once they go there, they just get destroyed. You know what I mean? She doesn't know that there's a way out of it. Right.
She doesn't realize that the Goliath could miss, or she probably doesn't know what a Goliath is. And, and what's great was obviously is you've got this menacing giant purple cloud with a mouth thing. It's really, really visually amazing. But it's, and again, I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I think you just sort of, again, I told you, I got Lord of the Rings vibe, right? And this is what I was talking about, like that, the way it was shot and the way that they're sort of moving along. And then what I got was, never-ending story vibe. The void equals the nothing. This Goliath is this giant, storm coming to clear out everything and all existence of time. So it's just that's for me. Like that's my experience because I love that stupid movie, and I really shouldn't, but my kids think it's terrible. But that's the thing is you go through this and you're trying to find comparisons because this is stuff that you've never seen before, and the story is so grand and so big. Like even this place, the Void, right? All these things are interacting there. You got the Thanos copter. You got all these things that you start to see, all these Easter eggs. There were so many Easter eggs. But it's just so expansive. And that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to, like, in my little brain say, okay, how do I compartmentalize what's happening on the screen? And that's my one thing. I said, okay, this looks like the never-ending story. This thing's going to gobble up all time and eternity. And that's all I can think of. But
Yeah.
But no, what I mean, that's a truly menacing, opponent that you're going to have to get through. And I knew they had to get through that, but at the same time, I kept wondering how are they going to do it, because it was tough.
Yeah.
It looked tough.
I mean, it was literally destroying everything, and I mean, nothing really had a chance. And I don't think the way it looked like these three Lokis, they were living there for quite some time, and they clearly got a way around the land that they were going through. They had their own little like hideout underground.
Yeah.
So they clearly like knew how to survive within the void without really causing any trouble not causing any trouble, but causing any like interactions with the Alliance. Because I mean, even when Loki was kind of like spazzing a little bit, just like, hey, I need answers, like, because as soon as we see him, it's like, hey, follow us. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't trying to give him any answers. And Loki's just like, look, I need answers. He's like, I'm not even surprised there's a gator here. Like,
I wasn't shocked.
Yeah. And Kid Loki basically just said, shut up. Like, don't cause any awareness to us. Like, you know what I mean? Keep it low key.
Yeah. Yeah. It became the quiet place. Be quiet and move stealthily.
Yeah.
Which again, then they moved to this underground bunker, right? That is like an old bowling alley looked like.
Yeah, it was.
But then that's where the story starts to develop. You start to know more about this Alliance and sort of where all the Lokis are doing down there, and then they start to tell their own backstories, and they all tragically end the same way, right? But I think they were talking about what was their Nexus event, which I think a couple were lying, right, about what their event was.
Well, it was Boastful Loki was the only one lying, because they followed the Kid Loki's their leader, and Loki asked classic Loki, like, why do you wear the horns if you're gonna listen to the kid? And he's like, you best listen to him. This is his kingdom. And then Kid Loki just turns around and says, I killed Thor. So that was his Nexus event. So he's the only one that successfully kills Thor, and I don't think he's lying about that.
No, and I think that sort of gives him credibility, like right there, like it wasn't even like, haha, he killed Thor. It was like, yeah, I killed Thor, and then it's like a whole 2-second pause, and then they move on. Like don't mess with this kid. Yeah. He knows his stuff. And then I think one of the cool Easter eggs was as they were going down the bunker. Throg, right? The frog Thor was there, even though some people said it was mini Thor. It was really fast. Like, you had to pause it, or you had to watch it on a repeat. Or I thought it was Thor at first. I thought it was Thor at first, but then I didn't realize that he was a frog until I saw like one of the trailer breakdowns or the episode breakdowns.
There was even his hammer was down there as well. Right, and that's what he was jumping towards.
Right, which begs the question is, was Thor could Thor, a variant of Thor, be there? That type of thing.
Well, technically, yeah. I mean, he is a variant, but another variant, that's a good point.
Yeah, so that would be interesting if all of a sudden like a Hemsworth just showed up, like, hey guys.
And they did say Hemsworth. I seen it today on Instagram. Hemsworth voiced the Frog Thor.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so there's a lot of callbacks to, and I think that one was from the original Avengers when he was stuck in a little like jail cell. He was trying to get out, trying to beat it out there. Yeah. So then we meet classic Loki, get to know him a little bit more, and he's got a really interesting backstory. And then he tells that story about how he fooled the Mad Titan, that he conjured a projection so great that he fooled the Mad Titan. And he was able to escape and wasn't found. And so that to me, I think that's a little bit of foreshadowing. there's such, impact to that story, and there's so much like attention to that particular detail. That obviously what he does at the end of the episode does fool Eliath, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's just more. It's a deeper meaning to that, to being faking his own death, which Loki has done before.
Yeah.
And it's a Loki trait, and so I think it's going to have a bigger impact towards that last episode for sure.
What I thought was interesting was it was basically our Loki story that we've seen play out, and it was just him escaping, getting his neck snapped, and what happened after that and where he went. And like you said, it kind of was an impactful scene. But there was one more thing after. We'll get to it a little bit later. But I also think that it's kind of foreshadowing. Now that we know that we didn't see the big bad, we'll get to it.
Yeah,
there's another line he throws where I'm like, oh, that could be foreshadowing as well.
Right. So, and a lot of misdirection, because now you're focused on classic Loki. He's giving you this big story, and then in this storytelling, then they bring in a whole new other element, right?
Yeah.
So then you have, and there was one bit of foreshadowing which was great, which was, they piss off alligator Loki, or Florida Loki, and Florida Loki goes after boastful Loki's hand right away, and I was like, okay, he's not to be messed with, and then you meet all the other Lokis.
Which I was curious. Was it other versions of Loki, or was it just minions?
Well, and that's the thing. I think they were all Lokis. I think they were all different types of Lokis. There might have been a minion in there, one or two, but I think they were all Lokis because they all did the same thing, which was turn on each other throughout, that exchange.
Yeah.
And I know President Loki, who was featured prominently in the trailers. I know he pissed off a lot of fans in terms of the screen time they used for him. It just wasn't what they wanted. Like, they thought either Loki was going to become President Loki or there was a bigger role for him. And he basically had like a cameo, a short interaction, and then he was done. Although a very funny interaction. Gets on the bad side of Florida Loki and gets that hand bitten off.
We basically find out boastful Loki set them up, and had the other Lokis come through, and and which was so dumb of boastful Loki to think that he was he was like, but you said I was gonna be king and you were gonna give me food and shelter. He was like, dude, did you really believe all that? Like,
well, he hit him with, well, about that.
Yeah. And then this is where I do think the other his henchmen were Lokis, because as soon as he said no, like basically I'm gonna be the king, they all turned on him. And then, like you said, alligator Loki just jumped right on his hand, bit his hand, and just his scream started the brawl. And it was honestly probably my favorite scene, because you just see all the Lokis because you did see some of them use their powers. And then you even see like classic Loki do his, which I thought was interesting, that he projected like all of them, even like alligator Loki, Kid Loki, where like Kid Loki threw the projection alligator Loki at them.
Yep. And that's the thing is classic Loki's powers are greater than he leads on, and that's again why he's the misdirection for me. But I think the best part of that scene is if you watch it again and you watch the Loki that we're watching, his journey through. If you watch that scene again, he's seeing all of his mistakes in each of these guys, right? So like when they show up and they turn on each other, you can see him in the back, like just like rolling his eyes, like, oh god, like we should have seen this coming. Of course we were gonna do that. And then when they start fighting each other and they start, sort of beating each other down, he's watching and he's like, oh no, and like he's not even engaging in the fight. Yeah. He's just trying to like get through
dodge and stuff.
Yeah, and each time he sees another mistake that Loki makes that he would have made or he's made in his past. So and it's a subtle thing. It's a very subtle thing. But when you rewatch it, you'll see that is what he's doing. He's just sort of looking and going, okay, I've done that. Oops, I've done that. I've messed that up, and then he gets out. But
yeah, I didn't notice that the first time through. I did notice he wasn't engaging with anybody. But
Right.
that brings me to exactly what we were talking about with Classic Loki. As soon as they get out of it, Classic Loki says like, what do you say? It's like we always turn on each other and attack each other or whatever. And I thought that was foreshadowing. Even the first time of viewing it, I was like, that was like an interesting line, because obviously we all, as fans, know that Loki does that. So for them to like re-bring that up,
yeah,
kind of made me feel some type of way about it.
right. And that's the thing. And he should have known. I think he was talking about boastful Loki and talking about, I should have known that he was going to do that to me because it's what we would have done.
Yeah.
But no, I think I think again, Classic Loki just has those lines, and they're purposeful. He's a great actor,
Yeah.
and they're not going to just throw away lines on him. So I'm hoping my premonitions pay off when we talk about the final scenes. But yeah, that's what happened in that particular scene. And then we they get out, and then we meet up with Sylvie, right?
Yeah.
Sylvie, who's waking up from her blur. And then she runs into Mobius, right? That's the feel good moment, right?
Well, right before that, she basically she learns who Eliath is. I mean, she doesn't know the name,
yeah.
but Eliath is coming, and if she would have stayed asleep for at least another 2-3 minutes, she would have been dead. But in a split second, she kind of grabs Eliath, like with I guess like a strain of Eliath or like a little bit of smoke, and like connects with him, and kind of gives us a glimpse of like what could be. I guess at that point we didn't know what it was, but what could be behind it, or like on the other side of it. And it was just like a quick glimpse, but then like you said, we see a pizza delivery car just come down, and she just hops in the car, and she's like, oh wait, it's you. And then it turns out to be Mobius. Right. He had a funny line to me where he was like, you shouldn't be getting in strangers' cars.
Right, exactly. No, listen, getting to your point, you're right. And I know that I watched the new Rockstars, and they actually broke down the frames when she touched Goliath, and you saw everything. You saw everything that was in the final scene. You saw the house or whatever it is. You saw the asteroid. You saw like she was slowly building to seeing everything that he was protecting. And I think that's how she obviously knew what the right answer was to take care of him. But yeah, that was a great reveal. It was so fast in watching the episode. Honestly, someone had said it, and I thought of the same thing. I thought the time stone. I thought she got hit with a time stone or something, because it looked like she was bending time, but it's not what it was. She was just having a vision. But that was. I mean, that was an amazing moment, because she's.
That makes sense, because she did kind of slow down.
Right.
It was like it kind of slowed down. That makes sense.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like it felt like she had slowed down time to get away from Eliath, but she was just having the vision, and it was going through that. So that was neat. And again, when you watch it again, you then see it clearly. It's like, oh, there is exactly what we thought we saw. And then the Mobius reveal. Obviously, everyone was happy. Mobius is alive. We might get to see the jet ski again.
Jet ski is still alive.
The jet ski vision might be happening. So, and it was a great moment. It was great to see now his interaction with Sylvie, because now he's not, he's not being the TVA agent with her. He's now seen the light, and so. And I think they apologized to each other about, them having to do. I think they mentioned like, hey, you had to prune some people. You took out my agents.
Yeah.
It was an exchange of sort of like accepting that each other's worlds were similar, right? They both had roles and things they felt they had to do.
Exactly.
And Mobius obviously just didn't know what he was fighting for, right? I think he was just in that spell. So,
like, and he even said it, the ends justify the means. Like, that's what he thought. He thought he was doing the right. He was doing right, but I mean, in that moment, he did, own up to his mistakes, which I think even before he got pruned, he kind of was understanding that what he was doing was kind of wrong. And he even said, like, he's like, well, you didn't, not do, you did your part too, And she gives her, like, not condolences, but she gives her her little apology about it, and it was a good moment.
Oh no, for sure, for sure. And then and this is where I think the show starts running out of time because, and this is true. And somebody complained about it online, and thinking back, I agree. It was all of a sudden like the build up for Loki was great. Like he goes to the underground bunker. There's this fight. There's some exposition about why they're there, who's Goliath. It's a big build up. Mobius shows up to pick up Sylvie, and it's it. Then they're meeting up with Loki like almost right away. Yeah. So there wasn't time to allow that to marinate a little bit, to have some more discussion, or it just was too easy. I think that was the one complaint, that it was just way too easy for them to meet up. Like how, do they have directions? Do they know?
So the only thing. They did it with writing, I think, because she tells them to turn the car around and go towards Goliath, and the Lokis our Loki told the other Lokis like, "Yo, let's just go towards him." And his idea. So they have two ideas, because obviously they weren't together at this point. But Loki wants to kill them because the whole time, classic boastful and Kid Loki say he's alive. He's right. Like they use the analogy like he's like a shark in the tank, which was another funny line. He's like, "Oh, there's no gators in the tank," which I thought was hilarious. But so Loki wants to kill it, and I think the little interaction with Sylvie had with it, she wants to enchant it. So they both, it just leads them to Elias, which I think they just try to do it with writing, because like you said, they're running out of time. I think at this point there was like 20 minutes to the episode.
Right, and there was a lot more to go, and they crammed it all in there, and I think that's why we didn't get the big bad reveal, is because there was just not enough time, I don't think, in that particular episode.
Yeah.
Although it does end on a logical point, they just had to move it along, and and even like I said, even with 6 hours, they've got to move things along, cut things out, because there's just so much story. But yeah, they meet up, right? And then they get together, and then I love the exchange, which is, Loki being Loki is like, "Hey, we're gonna kill it."
Yeah.
She's like, "This is what your plan was? Like, you're just gonna go and kill this giant, ginormous thing?"
I love how the other Lokis were like, we kind of try to tell them.
Yeah, well, I'm not with him, and he's not with me, that type of thing. Which was a pretty cool fun, and that's the thing too about this episode, is there was a lot of humor. Even though there's big stakes, it's not all ominous. It's not all end of doomsday. Even though it is, they inject it with humor, and they put a couple jokes in and that's why I said I don't know why I was so invested in Florida Loki in the episode, but by the point that I got to them meeting, I forgot all about Florida Loki.
Yeah,
I completely forgot about everything else, but. It's just great, because now instantly the tone shifts, right? The tone changes. It's now the real deal. We're about to, confront Elias.
Embark on a battle, basically.
Right. Now, the only thing I found a little confusing was Mobius's exit. And he was trying to take people with him. He was like, "Hey, anybody else want to go with me?" And they're like, nope, we're good here. This is where we live. So... to me, I think that sets up, again, even more foreshadowing for the end, that some of these guys are in on it, I think. Some of these guys know what the ending is, and maybe they don't want that ending. Or they know exactly what's going to happen next, or they need to be part of that. I don't know. Because they weren't on Loki's side. They weren't like, "Oh, we're going to support you, Loki." They weren't,
Yeah, they basically said that they were going to lead him to Goliath, and then they were going to dip out. So
yeah, they're like, "Hey, we're done, and we're gonna leave. See you later." So,
and then even Mobius's leaving was kind of like, they didn't say he was gonna leave right away.
Right.
I mean, I get it, because he doesn't really. In the final scene, there's nothing he really could have done to help them.
Yeah.
So it makes sense in that regard, but they didn't set it up. It was just like Sylvie tried to hand Loki the temp pad, like if he was gonna leave. And he was like, "No, if you go, I go." And then he just hands it to Mobius, and Mobius, like, they didn't even say like, "Hey, you get out of here." You know what I mean? It was just like here's a 10 pad, and Mobius is like, oh well, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Like,
right. See you later. I'm gone.
You want me to give regards to Renslayer? Like,
I'm going back to burn it all down. All right, let's go. See you later.
but we did get another. We've gotten 2 emotional Mobius moments in the show, and they both work each time.
Right. And there's the bro hug, man. There's the Mobius Loki hug that everybody wanted, that because they were like, this far away from each other, and you're like, I just hug them, just give them a hug.
Tell them. Which is funny because when they meet up with Sylvie and Mobius, and she sees the Loki, she was about to attack him. He's like, hey, wait, those are my friends, and then he kind of takes it back. Yeah. And I think that was just to set this moment up because he said, thank you, my friend. And then, of course, in Mobius fashion, he looks at Sylvie and says, you're my favorite.
Oh, yeah. That was great. I was like, oh, man. Which was, I mean, it's awesome. And again, that's in bringing the humor and then capping it off and seeing, and that's where the story probably will take off next episode. Now you've got 2 plots going, right? You've got Sylvie and Loki heading towards this mysterious place, and now you've got Mobius heading back for Renslayer, and in the TVA and Miss Minutes and what's going to happen there. So I think we're going to figure out who this guy is. Mobius is going to know, or Mobius is going to find out first, and then that's going to like set you like back to Loki, and you're like, oh god, he's up almost to an impossible task, or like again, the big reveal will be like, all right, who's he really going up against? So we
forgot to mention the Renslayer meeting with B-15, but now that I think about it, and with you saying that, there was, and that was the first moment where we really know that Renslayer doesn't know who's behind the TVA, because obviously she was betraying Sylvie in the beginning and kind of had Miss Minutes like buy time for guards to come, and that's how Sylvie prunes herself. But when she sees B-15, she kind of tries to get into like ask B-15 like, hey, what did you see in her head? And like B-15 pretty much says like she wants revenge, like, and you're not gonna find out who these people are before her because she needs it and you just want it.
Right.
And I thought in my head, that was gonna be like, well, the logical thing would be let me follow Sylvie, let me figure out how to find Sylvie and follow her so I can then know who it was. But now that you mentioned that, and Mobius going back to the TVA, he's going to meet up with her, and they might find out, maybe not before, but they might find out around the same time.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think it's going to set it up where it's going to be like that's how we go back to them, right? You set it up with some dialogue and you figure out who's who. Then you go back and you see them in the thick of whatever's happening. And then there'll be simultaneous action. There's going to be stuff that Mobius is doing. I have a feeling we're going to lose a character or two at the TVA, and I have a feeling we're going to lose a character or two at the end of this. Hopefully it's not Sylvie, but I'm
leaning towards Sylvie because they can't kill. They're not going to kill our Loki again because we already had that like very emotional moment in Endgame when Thanos kills him.
Right.
So I don't see how they could kill him again where it would be satisfying for the fans. No. I've personally grown to like Sylvie a lot, especially like this episode really. I mean, the last 2 episodes, they really like showcase her in a good way. And it shows that she's not like, I mean, even Loki says it like, which I thought was another funny part. He's like, have you guys met a girl version of us? And they're like, oh, that sounds horrifying. And he's like, that's why she's so great, because she's different from us. She doesn't want to control the TVA. She wants to destroy the TVA.
Right.
And I think that's just good setup for Sylvie being like the good version of them.
Yeah, I think it's almost like the Soul Stone. One of them is going to have to sacrifice themselves to finish the mission. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but in true Marvel's fashion, we haven't had a loss in this episode or this show.
Yeah.
Or like a heavyweight moment, other than the Mobius pruning.
Yeah.
But that was like quickly resolved by the end of that episode. But so that's what I'm saying. I haven't thought too much on who was going to go. I just don't like, depending on who the big bad is. That's going to tell me, okay, I know such and such is going to go. Like once I figure out what that is, then I'll probably have an idea. And it's going to be a heartfelt, gut-wrenching moment. But because if either one of these two characters go, you're going to be sad. You're going to be upset. Which again sets up this scene right here where they're holding hands and they're working together, combining their powers. Which again is a great moment to show that Loki is growing as a character. And so again, there's a true connection there. So that's why I'm finding it hard to think that Sylvie could turn on Loki, right? Or Loki could turn on Sylvie, because they've been building up this connection, unless it's fake, and that's the ultimate FU to all Marvel fans.
Yeah, I don't see it being, because even in their little cuddling moment, they kind of mention that to each other, like, how do I know you're not going to turn on me, and vice versa. And even in that, which I don't see, I would love to see, like, especially now that I know there's a second season, I would love to see that both of them continue on. Yeah. Because their chemistry is dope. They, like you said, they clearly have a real connection within the show. So it's like, what could that connection mean for our Loki? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, and another thing I'll quickly mention, I love how all these Lokis have different powers, and our Loki's pretty much like picking up on all these powers, and in turn could make him like an OP version of Loki. And I think that, and they kind of give us like a little reason of why his powers were like, right? What do you say? Like nursed throughout this show.
Yep.
Classic Loki basically says like using the knives kind of hinders like a Loki's true power. Exactly. And I think we get a little bit of that when he tries to use the sword when it's on fire against Goliath, and then he kind of throws it at the end, and then he learns how to enchant with. But let's get to classic Loki.
Well, yeah. But one second before we get to there, we have a comment here from Andrew Camacho.
Hey, what up, Andrew?
Andrew, thank you so much. He says Jarvis finest.
Yeah, our school.
I was thinking he's giving me like it's gonna be Jarvis. I'm like, oh dear God.
Oh no.
I was like, I didn't think of Jarvis. No. Hey, thank you, Andrew, for supporting the channel. Thank you for coming on here, man. We appreciate you. If you got any questions or anything, man, hit us up, man, or any comments on what we're talking about.
For sure.
Be part of the show. Thank you, man. All right, so let's talk about this episode, or this scene right here morphs into a very, very climactic. They get a hold of the, they get the mind control, but not before we get this classic Loki in all his power, conjuring up Asgard.
Yeah,
which I thought was just an amazing scene.
That's one thing we haven't mentioned, how great the set design was, how great, and even better than Lamentis in a lot of ways, because we get all the Easter eggs. Lamentis, there wasn't as many Easter eggs. Like there was just throwaway Easter eggs on this Void planet. But then when you see this Asgard and it's in entirety, because he builds literally the whole Asgard, and that's what distracts Elias. And it was just gorgeous, like how they're doing this.
Yeah, no, it showed the true power of him being able to conjure this image, right, of Asgard, which again I saw some of the breakdowns, said, look, it's even down to the replica columns and statues of the old warriors, everything to the detail was there, and again just a really, really, I would say selfless act, right? Like he's sacrificing himself, putting himself in the line of fire in order for them to get enough time to just get the control of Goliath that they needed. And no, I mean, this was just a beautiful scene. Like you've got the menacing imagery and the purple void coming, and all of a sudden this guy just starts conjuring up Asgard, and man, just a huge difference in the scene shifting. And then ultimately, classic Loki gives himself up to Elias
for his glorious purpose, which was called back to the first episode title, and even which was hilarious in the Loki fight. Somebody yelled that out.
Oh yeah.
Somebody like glorious purpose. So I thought that was hilarious. But even like Sylvie was like, "Yo, how is he doing that?" And Loki's like, "I think we're more powerful than we think we are," which is kind of hilarious because he didn't think he can enchant. You know what I mean? Like seeing this, like, kind of gives this Loki. That's another. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, if our Loki survives and gets back to the main timeline, which, I mean, Tom Hiddleston is so good. Like, I don't see them letting him go. You know what I mean? Like I said, they already killed him once, so it's like if they do kill him again, it's for good. So I think if he goes back to our original timeline of the Marvel movies, he's going to be very powerful.
Yeah. No, he's going to have new powers. He will be a more respected, if he goes back as a villain again. I don't think he will, but he'll be a more respected force to reckon with, and he can match wits then with Thor.
Yeah.
And that's the key is, Thor has always been seen as the, the top tier Avenger, the top tier, hero, and Hiddleston is the sidekick, or he's the, the annoying villain or whatever. But now with these powers and his new sort of found understanding of this world, he's now a force to be reckoned with. And again, whether he uses it for good or bad, that remains to be seen, right? But so now we get the big reveal. We get the big reveal that we were looking for. There's the big bad there right in front of you. The final mission, if you're playing a video game, you're like, oh, I got to the castle.
Yep.
And credits. Which
With no end credit scene either.
No end credits. Nothing major. Just more to think about. And who is going to be in that? Who is in that castle? And that's when we start to put our fan theories together and start talking about what we think is going to happen at the end here. And so, the obvious name is Kang the Conqueror. I mean, there were just too many nods and hints and Easter eggs to say.
I mean, everything. Even Alioth in the comic book, Alioth is the same. He does the same thing. Literally, the guard dog of like pretty much Kang's thing.
Right.
So it's like even to Alioth, Renslayer being such a prevalent character and not really. She's obviously not the big bad, but like she's such a prevalent character that it just seems like they're trying to lead us towards even more than like the Mephisto thing. It's more real with this.
Right.
And that's why for me, I'm like, well, I don't want to get off the train. I thought this whole season was leading towards that. But I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what you think.
There's two theories I have. The first one I think is a long shot, but this was what I was talking about with the foreshadowing. So for me, my first theory is that our big bad is going to be this guy. I think he knows what the power of these two Lokis can do. I think he's using them to get to the end product that he needed, because he doesn't have those abilities.
Yeah.
So he needs these guys to get through. So that's one theory, because he made that comment about how he, even fooled the Mad Titan to thinking that he was there. It goes back to when he yells out glorious purpose. His hands lose that power and he just disappears. Yeah. So is it him projection? Is it a projection of him doing all of this mess? Or is it really him and maybe he pops up afterwards? That's like a long shot theory, I think. Because again, he said too many ominous things in this episode, and he's too great of an actor to be used as a a one episode guy.
Even before, a lot of people thought he was going to be the bad guy before they saw who he was.
He has these powers, and he's been able to stay alive this long. But again, his is a story that is conceivable as a Loki. That he would trick his these people to think he's a friend and then turn his back on them. He knew exactly what to do to get Alioth out of the way, and so that's one theory, right? But sticking to this guy, and then I'll let you give me your theories. But sticking with this guy, this is a clip, right, or image that we haven't seen yet. It's from the trailers.
Okay.
So, the fan theory, and this is not my own theory. I will let me disclaimer out there for anybody watching this. I'm not as good as the new rock stars or these other guys. I just have seen enough evidence, to support it. Because we haven't seen this clip before.
Yeah.
We haven't seen this image. The fan theory that I've heard, and I'm starting to believe, is that what classic Loki was telling you about faking his death and what it looked like to fake his death. And I think somebody showed some screenshots of Endgame that Loki fooled the Mad Titan into thinking he was dead and that he escaped the same way that classic Loki escaped. In fact, he's the same Loki that classic Loki is. And so this is the Loki from Endgame who escaped. That's again complete fan theory that I saw, not my own theory, but I'm starting to believe it because why did he tell that story about fooling the Mad Titan, about faking his own death, and then being able to escape?
Yeah.
And so if that happened to this Loki, which is Endgame Loki, we'll call him, and he could be the big bad at the end. And I think that's going to piss people off because they're expecting Kang the Conqueror or somebody, from the comics.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what the show is hinting at, which is it's Loki's show. It's Loki versus Loki. It's always been Loki's journey against himself. And so how do you deal with a Loki who knows what his future is going to be, or thinks he knows what his future is going to be, and then this Loki who knew and saw what would happen to him if he battled the Mad Titan and saw the snap and everything else.
Yeah.
So that's just, to me, off-the-wall theories. I think the best thing we can do, and this is for anybody watching the show, is just try not to go in there with these high expectations of what you think is going to happen.
Yeah.
Just let it happen because you're going to be pissed. No matter what happens.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's honestly might be the most plausible theory because even in the story of classic Loki, he says that he's like, why would I get my neck snapped or something? And right. Loki didn't mention it at all. And if he escaped, or he watched his clone get his neck snapped.
Right.
So there could be that too. I was thinking about the class, or that could be Kid Loki.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that could be Kid Loki, and he was just acting, portraying a kid, because clearly they got shape-shifting abilities. So that could be Kid Loki, and that's why they follow him, because he is such a strong leader. But the classic Loki, it's like, it could be him, but watching it back today when I was taking the notes, there was a part of me where it was like, oh, he's laughing like kind of evilly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what, you know what I mean? But then I was like, well, Loki is supposed to be evil, so it kind of makes sense, you know what I mean? And then you can see his cape like disintegrate before Goliath even hits him.
Right.
So,
right.
And I think also they set up the clone thing with like the green aura around it earlier in the show. So I don't think it was a clone, but there was, I think I seen it on New Rockstars where they were talking about the debris, and right before the scene goes to black to the credits, you can see some debris fly into the portal.
Yeah, yeah. And so now we're left to ponder all of these things, like who could it be? But like I said, to anybody watching, and if you haven't thought you had your fan theory, just don't go in there with like, for example, I think with WandaVision, I think all of us made the mistake of saying Mephisto's coming. It's gonna be revealed, and it was Agatha all along, as she clearly told you in her song. And that's the thing is, and I know that, and this is the thing. It's funny is I don't understand why these things piss people off so much. Like, it's not so egregious that, I mean, everyone thought it was Miss Minutes.
Yeah.
And you clearly are way beyond Miss Minutes. I would be shocked if Miss Minutes showed up and was the big bad. Like, that would piss me off. Like, yeah. All right, I'm invested, and that's a little ridiculous.
Miss Minutes, she was looking too timid like during the Sylvie scenes earlier on.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't. There's no way she could be the bad guy.
Right. And Renslayer is in on this, but she's not as powerful as we might have thought she was, and she does have that connection to Kang the Conqueror. So there's so many clues, and this is what I was going to tell you. So what's going to happen is and this again my theory. We'll see. We'll test it. We'll see next week if I'm right. This is going to happen. King, they will either battle this King Loki, which is the endgame Loki in my opinion, or a version of that, right?
Not to cut you off, but his armor looks a lot like the Loki logo. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at that. All different pieces of things in there.
Huh. All right.
Oh, and then you've got the crown right here down in the background. Yeah. Look at that. A lot you can glean from one image, man.
Yeah.
But what I think is going to happen, and I think this is what I think is the fan service, which I think they might do. We know that there's Kang the Conqueror coming in the Ant-Man Quantum Mania. I think once this is done and they finalize the story, you're going to see Kang the Conqueror at the very end. Just to put the cap on it and to say he's out there, and we heard you, right, or we know you want him, but it'll be like that Thanos reveal I think was Guardians, where he just like turns his head for like 2 seconds and he fades to black. Yeah. I think that's what it's going to be. But that, I mean, that would satisfy everybody, because if you were pissed that it wasn't Kang the Conqueror that he was battling and it's another Loki, then you get your satisfaction at the end credits scene. And if it's not, if a Kang the Conqueror comes out, then you'll satisfy everybody, but it'll be a little bit of a disappointment for people who thought it was like a Loki, But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I think the toughest thing for us too next week is spoilers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be tough because I don't watch. I mean, everyone watches it Tuesday midnight, going into Wednesday morning.
I might have to just stay up and watch it.
I may too. I may have to, but I'd be betraying the family if I did that. But no, I think that's going to be the toughest thing for me is because I'm checking my YouTube page all the time. I'm looking, I'm doing updates, and and the algorithm's going to just push it to you no matter what. Oh my god, yeah, Loki's going to be all over my news feed. You know what some jerk did, and I every week I gripe about jerks, but this guy did it, like, he trolled me hard, and he did it for Black Widow. Essentially, he wrote, and I'm glad I went to see it. I tried not to read anything, but I was reading some posts, and this guy writes, no spoilers. Right, no spoilers. My thoughts on Black Widow, and I thought, well, that's cool. Let me see what he wrote. Now I had already seen it, and this asshole.
He got all spoilers.
He gave every single spoiler from the movie in the first paragraph, and he's like, if you're mad, it's Saturday. You should have seen the movie by now. I'm like, dude, the
movie just came out, bro.
But think about it. You're trying to figure out if you want to go see this movie, and this jerk puts
that's a different kind of clickbait.
Yeah,
that's a menacing clickbait because you're getting over on them.
And there were so many comments, man. There was like a million comments talking about, you're an asshole, you suck, you ruined the movie for me. And I'm just like, man, I'm glad I saw it, because I was honestly, I bought my tickets and I was debating whether or not I was going to really go.
Yeah.
Because I had heard some negative reviews on it. I heard, that it wasn't that great and whatever. And we could talk about it in a minute. But yeah, that's going to be our problem. Spoilers. Yeah. Spoilers, from Tuesday to Wednesday until we watch it. Because some idiot's going to put he's going to put the thumbnail out there with the big bad on there, and I'm going to be pissed. And I'm sure I'm going to see it and probably ruin my viewing experience. But man, or hashtag it. He's going to hashtag the name of the big bad at the end.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely what's gonna happen.
My God, even with this show, right? Like I know we do Loki spoilers. I don't put out the thumbnail and the description until like Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah.
Like Friday night, I usually put it out just so, and then in the hashtags, I put what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, even with that, I'm trying to be careful because I'm like, all right, what if somebody stumbles upon my thumbnail and
Too early and didn't see it. Yeah.
Right. So I even I'm considerate. How's that?
Yeah.
I'm very considerate for people.
Yeah, but I mean, every week you talk about how somebody ruins it for you, so I can understand why you don't want it to be ruined.
That's that's my weekly rant.
I do have. I've been, this whole time we've been talking about this. My wheels are spinning. If we don't get Kang at the end, that means Ravonna doesn't know Kang now, and maybe that's how we get to meet Kang through her, and that's how their relationship starts.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and since I just looked it up, Ant-Man comes out in 2023.
Oh, that's a long time to wait.
That's a long time. So there could be that Thanos type ending, but also season 2 could come out before that. And that could be like a buildup of Kang and Ravonna's relationship maybe, and maybe lead even more, because there was a what's the bad guy's name in Ant-Man? Hornet? Or not Hornet.
Oh yeah,
Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket, yep.
There was his helmet was in the void, and it was a blown up version.
Yep.
And if you remember, he got shrunk down into the quantum realm. So maybe that's a teaser that he escaped. But now that I'm thinking of the second season and how this one, because it has to end to where some things aren't tied up, and we're gonna continue those storylines. So like maybe Mobius, it becomes the new Renslayer of the TVA, and the regime changes the TVA, and then we see Ravonna maybe go to the dark side, and not necessarily the dark side, but her relationship with Kang starts building through that. And maybe we don't see Kang through the whole time, but we get Kang's actions through Ravonna maybe.
Right. And so again, they've laid the groundwork for Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
Perfect. And they can sleep on that. Like they don't have to. They don't have to reveal it. They've done enough to spice it in there. But yeah. We could extend it a while. And I didn't realize it's 2023. That's a long time to wait for a villain to show up in a series. So who knows? All right, so let's do this because I do want to talk a little bit about two things. There's that What If series that's going to come out.
Oh, yeah, I would love to talk about that.
And we'll talk a little bit about Black Widow. I'll do that real quick so we won't have any spoilers for that one because you haven't seen it. But I'll talk about it.
I know what happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
so that's all right. So we'll end this. That's our Loki discussion. If anyone has any comments or anything, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you let us know what you thought. Let's talk about our next thing. Let's talk about Black Widow real quick. So I went to see it, and here's a couple thoughts. Right. So generally speaking, Marvel movies in the theaters to me are amazing things.
Yeah.
When the Marvel logo came on and it was the dun 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 dun, dun like it was going through that, it hit way different than being at home and watching anything. There's people hooting and hollering. There's people clapping. Which
how full was the?
Oh, it was packed. It was an IMAX theater and it was packed.
That's awesome.
The good thing is, the way we pick seats. I leave one seat in between. I know there's not going to be a solo guy by himself on a Saturday night. Well, at least I hope not. And then I leave another empty seat next to us over here, because you have to pick them online. So that to me was what I was missing, right? Like, so this movie could have been straight trash, and I probably still would have liked it because it was the theater experience.
Yeah.
The trailers. So I know I've done a bunch of trailer reactions, right? There is no substitute for watching a trailer in the theater with full sound and full everything, because those trailers hit a lot different than my reactions. So I've watched the G.I. Joe trailer, I watched the Free Guy, I watched Eternals. They laid them all out for this movie.
Oh, I bet you.
And so it was 20 minutes of trailers, and every time I'm thinking, I go, man, I didn't react this way because I didn't think it was that great, or I didn't think this was that. And even Eternals, I watched it at home and I was not impressed.
Yeah, I remember you telling me you didn't seem too high on it.
No, I was like, I don't really care about these characters. But when you're in the theater and the music is blaring and the screen is ginormous, the characters pop and the characters come alive, and you're like, okay, I definitely want to check that out. So, different experience. Now, Black Widow, the movie. So the movie was great. I thought it was a great movie. I just think it was a little too late, and I think that's what most people's comments are. That it took too long to get there. And I know it's pandemic fatigue, I'm calling it, because movies like Free Guy and a couple other movies that were supposed to release a year or two ago, you've seen the trailers over and over again. The marketing budget for Black Widow was huge, and so there was a featurette every day, and so you pretty much, if you clipped all the featurettes together, you would have seen the whole movie.
There was a couple weeks where I thought the movie came out already, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it didn't even come out."
Right, that's the same thing happened with Fast 9. Was there was so many clips.
Exactly.
We were like, "Is the movie out?" And it turns out no, it wasn't out yet. So it's the same thing. But the way that it was done, the way the story was done, it was a great movie. It was a good movie. It had awesome action. Really, really good development for Black Widow. So a lot of backstory behind Black Widow, and I found it very interesting, and I thought it was great. I just I kept thinking that would have been great if it was released after Civil War or close to that time, because it's not like we're introducing her as a brand new character, which would have made it a little better. Like Captain Marvel gets away with it because it's a brand new character, and and so you're learning about the character. But because we already knew some of her background, it seemed like a little bit of filler, but it still doesn't take away. And they set it up for her, what's her name? Pugh, or I can't think of her name, the actress. But yeah, that's who was featured prominently in a lot of the ads. She is set up for the next couple of movies. So that's all I can say is that's what it seemed to me was going to be happening, and so it was. It's like handing the torch. Hey, I've done it. I'm dead already. See ya. Here, you take this new character, and she was awesome.
Is she taking the Black Widow name? You think? I
don't know that she is, but she's definitely she definitely has the same skill set. And definitely has all the same traits. So it's an interchangeable character now. Okay, so Scarlett Johansson's gone, and now this lady comes in. Her last name's Pugh. I just can't think of her first name. But anyway, so it was good. It was good, and the Taskmaster. I know people are a little disappointed in that, and the reveal of that, which was fine. And this is what I saw, and this is why I think people forget this, is that 95% of the people going to see these movies have not done their research and don't care about the comics. They don't. They just want good stories. They get invested and they do a little bit of research, but they're not looking at issue number 335 when the Taskmaster is revealed and who it is. They don't really care about that stuff. So, So to me, all the griping I saw online, all the complaining, is a lot of people who are a little bit butthurt because it wasn't what they thought it was going to be in terms of the big reveal. And like I said, it is a little too late. It does seem like this movie just is the bad timing. It's not the greatest Marvel movie that's ever been made. Some reviewer said that. It's like the best Marvel film ever. No, not even close. But it's not bad. It's not a bad movie at all. So
I saw it made a lot of money. So it's funny because it's bad timing in the Marvel universe within the storyline, but great timing in terms of this is the first Marvel production that we get to see in theaters, and I guarantee it's gonna catch eyes just because of the Marvel brand, and it's so consistently good that people are gonna go see it just because.
Yeah, no. I mean, if I'm telling you what the movie is like, it's straight out. It's just like Civil War. Mm-hmm. Actually, not Civil War. It's like Winter Soldier. It's got that feel, that espionage, Spygate type thing, which was great. I love those types of movies. and it ties everything in. It ties everything together, and it like I said, it's appropriate for what it's trying to do. And look, most people don't care. Most people do not care when it drops. Just the fact that it dropped, and it's a Marvel movie, and so they're going to go see it. I just had that feeling that it was not the greatest movie because the timing was bad. But I love the movie. You know,
how was the action?
Oh, action was great. It was it was like the Bourne Identity type, you know, in terms of fight sequences and but in the end, I mean, there's a ridiculous action sequence that just there's two big main action sequences if you watch it that are just you know, completely, you know, superhero-ish, and then the rest of them are pretty gritty, you know, low down, and there's even some Fast and Furious action in there. They're, you know, with cars and everything, and I think on the previews, you know, there's motorcycles, and it was really fun. It was just a lot of fun at the movies. So if anyone's asking me for my recommendation, I say go see it. Go see it in the biggest theater you can, and with the biggest sound.
With the biggest sound system.
Yeah. Don't skimp on it. Don't go to, like, you know, the cheapy, you know, dollar theater down the street. Go to a decent theater and go see it. Or if you're going to watch it at home, make sure your sound system is good, because otherwise it's crap. You know, if you don't hear it the right way, if it doesn't hit right, it's no good. I think that same thing happened to me, and I hate to say this, right? The Pokemon movie, the Pokemon Detective.
Oh, the live action one.
Yeah, pretty decent flick, right? But I went to the cheapy theater with my son because I didn't really care about the movie. Yeah, and I fell asleep 3/4 of the way in, and that's embarrassing for me as a dad. But and it was just because honestly, it was the biggest action sequence in that moment, and I was like nodding off because I couldn't hear it, I couldn't feel it, I couldn't get into it, and so sometimes you need that in a movie. So, all right, so that's my Black Widow-ish review. You know, I'll probably put out a video of my thoughts on it, because I did video us driving to the theater and us going in and the refreshments. I was in a whole nostalgia mode.
There's a vlog.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, let's check it out. And then I did the fast driving through all the way to pulling up to the IMAX, which is pretty cool. But it takes time to edit that stuff, so I didn't put it out yet. All right, so that's my Black Widow endorsement there. Go see it. All right, last thing, and then we'll sign off. What If, right? The trailer for What If came out, and that just blew people's minds and really, really got the stories, you know, sort of flowing. I did do a trailer reaction for it, and it was great. I love the theories that come out. The only concern I had was, obviously, the way it was described, right, and when it first was revealed that they're going to have this is that it's not canon. It's not part of the universe. It's sort of like an experimentation to see what would happen. And unfortunately, they stole that from a YouTuber's ideas of that how it should have ended, that type of thing.
But I think there was actually like a comic book series, like What If.
What If? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
So it'd be like, what if Spider-Man had these powers, and what if the Hulk was a bad guy and he, you know, whatever. So I think it's just a great way of just giving you more story, giving you and bringing those characters you love, right? The Tony Starks and Spider-Man, because that's who was prominently featured in there, and giving them new stories without making it like, you know, overdone or another movie. And I think they used original voices. Which
I think everybody, for the most part, came back. Every voice I've heard, I think, was them.
Yeah, themselves. I think Robert Downey Jr. was not Iron Man, but it was a guy who sounded just like him. I mean, they did their homework to get. That's what I read, was that he didn't do his voice, but every other one, and I think it was Chadwick Boseman's last real performance for Marvel. Which was a bit sad, you know, to watch that, but it puts him as Star-Lord, which you never think of that. What if Black Panther was Star-Lord? And it was like, okay, I can buy that. So no, you know, I had said it too. It's like Disney and Marvel are just printing money. Like, this is unfair.
Even them saying it's not canon, I guaranteed there's going to be a storyline that people get drawn to through the series, and they're gonna make it a live action in some form, guarantee.
Yeah,
Because
Killmonger, no, Killmonger meeting with Tony Stark.
Yeah,
to me has the legs to sort of become what if that could be part of a potential deal later on down the road, because it just makes sense. He's a hired military assassin killer, and Tony Stark's a weapons dealer, you know?
Yeah. What else did we see? We saw Peggy Carter as Captain Carter with the British flag, which I thought was pretty dope.
Yep.
Who else did we see? They showed like the iconic Avengers shot, like from the first movie, but then they switch it up where it's like Star-Lord and a bunch of other people, which I'm thinking that's the Chadwick Boseman Star-Lord, because we didn't get that reveal till later in the trailer. I thought the anime style looked pretty dope. I'm excited to see what they do with it though, because it to me it seems like it's gonna be like one episode is gonna be about, you know, T'Challa being in space and being part of the Ravagers, or like one episode is gonna be about Spider-Man having I forgot what the cape's called, but having Doctor Strange cape.
Yep, that was in there. I mean, that to me, again, it was great. The possibilities are endless, and they ended it with what if, and it just creates more and more stories that people want to see. And this is what if is probably for the more traditional hardcore comic book guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the style, the way that they're putting it together, that's a great thing to give some fan service to those hardcore comic book lovers, because that's I don't know that it's for the casual fan. I think the casual fan will tune in, and if it's interesting, they'll keep watching. But it's probably going to be like those niche, you know, Star Wars shows like The Bad Batch, and that you have to really want to like that stuff to watch it. It's not for the mainstream guys. And you know, I hate to say this, like I'm a huge Star Wars fan, like huge. I'm not watching a lot of the animated series because it's just not my cup of tea. Now I watch The Mandalorian and I watch some of the other stuff there, but the Clone Wars series, I've watched a little bit of it, and then this new one, The Bad Batch, I haven't watched any of it. So you know, but again, I think the Disney is smart. They're giving you different cuts of this property so that you know, hey, this is for these types of fans. This is for everybody. And Loki, like I said, Loki is just to me is genius because it's capturing average fans.
Yeah.
You know, it is for the comic book fan who really does pay attention, but it's capturing the attention of just normal fans. Like my wife, I always say that she's interested, and she's hooked, and she doesn't even know about this stuff. So,
yeah, man, they're doing. We say it every week, but Marvel's doing it right, and it's just amazing what they're doing with these properties and how they're tying them all in and giving, like you said, giving people like us, like I've learned so much more about comic books because I had like small knowledge about it, but the more I watch these things and they bring it to life, the more I want to find out about them. You know what I mean? And then that's when I get into my digging all through YouTube to find every little detail about, you know, even like Elias. Like I went on a binge about Elias like last week. I was like, oh shit, so he is connected to Kang, and he's pretty comic book accurate. You know, like how he looks.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it was dope.
And that's the thing is I'm more casual, right? But I will start researching stuff if it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I wonder what the comic book market looks like now that people are into it more and more, in terms of people buying comics and reading more comics. You know, I have a friend of mine who has he does Gem Mint Collectibles. That's his channel, and he buys comics left and right, and he does reviews on them. So there's a market for that out there. You know, and I think they're called omnibuses, right? Like they're like the huge, you know, like novelized versions of the comics all smashed together.
Yeah.
To me, that's probably something I would be interested in more than like picking up specific issues. Because, you know, for me, I'm not a collector in any way. I just enjoy having stuff. So my only Funko is this guy behind me, which is Kenny Powers.
Kenny Powers, yeah.
I mean, come on, It's Kenny freaking Powers, man. That's the way you do it. Anyway, let's do this. Let's transition to let's close it out. So
Yeah.
what I want to tell the people that are watching at home or watching this on a replay is this show is about Loki right now, but it will be many other things. We like to explore all kinds of topics. We just are in tune with Loki because that's been our weekly sort of assignment this week. Now, once Loki goes off the air, anything that's out there in the stratosphere, right? Whether it's comic books, whether it's movies, whether it's sports, whether it's general topics, we're gonna cover them here. So I think our first show we did a little bit of everything, right? We did
some UFC. We did a couple shows.
Right, we did UFC. We did. We talked about different shows, different things that are happening in the world, that type of thing. So this is what this show will evolve to: is our a Sunday night sort of recap for the week of all kinds of topics, and hopefully as our viewer base grows, it will be more centered around the topics that our subscribers want to talk about. That's ultimately where we'd like to get with this show, is not that we're providing the content, but that our fans are asking the questions and getting our opinion on them, and then that would drive the show. But for now, we'll continue to provide content. We'll continue to do our homework and research because we love to do this stuff. But that's ultimately where we want to get to with this show. So we started off the show by asking everyone to please like and subscribe. Make sure that you go on YouTube, and this is important because this is how we're growing the channel. Even though we are on Facebook and we are on Twitch, YouTube is where we're trying to grow this show. So please go to YouTube, look up The Big Llama Show, hit that subscribe button. The more subscribers we get, the more that our channel can grow and get into those algorithms so that we can get more and more content out there to you. If you want to like this, you want to know exactly when we drop videos, hit that bell notification and you'll know. To my subscribers out there, thank you so much for watching and thank you so much for being a part of the Big Llama Show. We definitely appreciate everyone's support. 92 subscribers and growing. I didn't check it before we got off the air here, but I'll check it right after I end the show to see how many we have. But thank you so much. AD, you got anything else? Any parting shots before we go?
Nah, hopefully we see King next week. And if not, I'm riding.
Either we get Kang or we're riding. That's it. That's it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the Big Llama Show. Thank you, AD, as always.
Appreciate you for having me.
No problem, man. We look forward to this every Sunday night, 10 p.m., unless there's a holiday or something's going on, we're going to figure out a way to be on the air 10 p.m. on Sunday nights. The Big Llama Show with AD. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.